Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Project 1.8 Corsa. So if you've been following the videos, you'll know that a lot of the mechanical work now is all pretty much done. We've got the engine in, suspension and stuff like that. So today I want to tackle the electrical side of the car, mainly the wiring loom. There's also a few little modules and stuff that I need to fit, so that is today's plan. So as you can see on the floor, I've got the engine loom laid out. This is obviously the fuse box here, this big bit. This is the box that the BCM goes in. There's a little bit of wiring that goes around the top of the windscreen, and then this is all sort of engine based stuff. So this is going to have to be fitted today. But along with that, I've also set out all the other pieces that need to go on the car. This little module thing, I'm not entirely sure what it is. I think it's something to do with the evaporating system. That needs to go in. We've got the ABS pump, needs to go back in. New dials, they need to go in. I think this is the alarm sounder, someone said in one of my previous videos, so need to find out where that is and fit that. The BCM itself, just one of the indicators on the side. This is the ECU in there, the transponder ring, and obviously we've got to put the chip from this key into our new key. So there we go, we've got a fair bit of work ahead of us. So I think first thing I'm going to do is tackle the wiring loom, get it situated in the car. I'll show you as much as I can, but it is very sort of long, tedious and fiddly, so I'll do my best and let's crack on. So if you're doing a job like this yourself, and you've bought the parts second hand, which you know I have, it's always a good idea to check things over before you fit them. Probably actually the biggest thing to check is the wiring harness, because wires are delicate. In transit they could get damaged, they could have been damaged previously. You don't know who's owned the car previous to you, so they could have bodged something, so it's always good to check. And on inspection I actually found something on my harness that I need to fix before I can fit it. So if you look down here, I'm not entirely sure what this sensor is. I think it might be the reverse sensor, but the wiring on it at some point has been sort of just twisted together, and obviously just bodged to make it work. But this side is split off and this side is very weak. I can probably pull that apart. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to strip these back, I'm going to solder them on properly, heat shrink them, and that's the only part of this whole wiring loom that is damaged, so that's not too bad. So I've just got my soldering iron heating up here. So the fuse box is situated. I've also ran the wires to the BCM unit thing over here, and that's all secure in there. I've also ran the wire along under the windscreen all the way over here, plugged in a few bits over there, and I've just left this bundle at the front here because first what I want to do is fit this little kit here. So basically what this is, if you ever fry your ECU, or if you have issues with immobilizers and stuff, this set here is what you need to change. So you get a BCM module, which is the body control module. You get a transponder ring. This is what goes around where your key goes in, around your ignition barrel. This just sits there. I'll show you the fit in that. This is the ECU, this bolts the engine. This is pretty much the brain of the whole car. You get a key. I'm going to be using the chip out of this key. I'm not actually going to be using this key because obviously this won't fit my door locks. So I'll take the chip out of this and put it in my other key. And then you also get a set of dials. Now the dials are all hooked into all this. They all need each other to sort of work together. So I'm going to fit all this stuff in the car, and then we can wire it up. Okay, so here we are in the car. I'm going to start with changing out the dials because they're fairly easy to do. And whilst I'm in there, the transponder ring thing is just behind this piece of plastic, so we'll also get to that. And then I'll show you how to get the chip out of this key and swap it over. So to get this top bit of plastic off, you turn your wheel to the side, and then there's these little clips here. This one's broken on this side, and on this side it's been pushed up, so it wasn't actually held on by anything, but these two clips and you just sort of have to pull them up, and then this bit will pull off, so, and that reveals a couple of torque screws. If I can show you that. There's one here and then one the other side. I'm going to remove them. There should also be another one under here in this hole, but someone's obviously been in here before, so there isn't one. And this pulls off like so, and as you can see there's the transponder ring thing. Just going to pull this little rubber grommet off like that. You can see it there. We have to remove the ignition barrel before we can take this off, and there's also a wiring connection on the back of it. A little bit tricky with one hand. There we go. So the trickiest part to doing this is to get the ignition barrel out. The first thing you want to do is take off this windscreen wiper stalk. There's a couple of clips on it. I'll try and show you. There's one here and one on the bottom, and you just push them in simultaneously and then it just pulls out. I'll show you where they are. There's one of the clips, they just push down like so, and then there's one on the other side as well. Move that to the side. So this next part is going to be a little bit tricky, but I'll show you what you got to do. Take the key, put it in the ignition, turn it to second position, just straight up like that, and then in the top of the ignition barrel, I don't know how well you can see this, in the top there, can you see that little hole right there? I'll try and zoom in. There you go, that little hole there, you need yourself a little pick or something thin like this, and then you need to push down in that hole. It's going to be really hard to film, and you see the ignition valve just pops out, and you can just pull it out like that. Hope that explains it. I know a lot of people want to do this. It's pretty simple if you get it right, but there you go. And now it's just a case of pulling this old one off, like so, and then taking the new one and popping the new one on. Like that. Now this is a part where a lot of people get stuck. Before you can put the ignition barrel back in, you have to sort of reset this coil in here. I'll zoom in. But you see this metal bit just here. You have to push down on that, and you see that reset it. So it was up here, and I pushed it right down there. You won't be able to get this barrel in without doing that. So I'm just going to insert it the same way it came out. Just like that. We're done. Okay, so it's time to tackle the dials. I'm just going to remove the plastic. There's a T20 screw up there. There's one down here. And there's one down here. The dials are then held in by two screws. Another T20 there. Another on the other side. And then there's a clip right at the top here that you have to push up on. A little metal one, just to release them. And obviously don't forget to disconnect the connector on the back as well. So we've got the old set, and then we've got the new set. It's just simple to replace them, you just put them back how you took them out. Okay, so there we are, that's the dials back in. I've put the plastics back in, put the bottom plastic on, but I've left the top one off for now because the tabs on it are broken. This one's almost coming off, and then this one has come off on this side, and it's just going to keep flapping about if I don't get a new one. So I'll get a new one of them before I put everything completely back together. Okay, so last but not least, we have got the keys. So this is the key that came with the car. This is the key that came with the conversion kit. Obviously this blade fits in that ignition barrel, so we're keeping the blade. I'm going to keep the main part of the key as well. I just need to change out the chip that's inside both of them, one for the other. These things are pretty simple to open. If you want to change the battery or whatever you want to do, there's a little bit in here. Just get a little flat blade screwdriver, stick it in there, and just sort of wiggle it about. You see it start to open. You can pull it apart. And then the blade section, you see in there, it's a little bit dusty, but you see that little chip? That's the bit we need. So pull that guy out. So this is what the chip looks like. Just a tiny little thing. It's so easy to lose, so do be careful. So we've got our key that we're going to use. Just double check that it's the one you need, which it is. We've then got our chip that came in the conversion kit, and we're just going to put that in there. Like so, and then we can just go ahead and put our key back together. Nice. So there's the ECU mounted to the side of the engine. I've plugged one of the plugs in, The other one's down there somewhere. So I've got a fair bit done on this wiring. I really haven't filmed too much because it's so boring, so tedious, and it's really hard to get the sort of angles. It's all in the engine bay, and I don't want to show you that. So I'll quickly give you an update as to what I've been up to. So I showed you the fuse box is in, I showed you the BCM is in, wiring all at the back is done. I have just gone ahead and put the ABS pump in and plumbed that in. The ECU is all plugged in, this bit's plugged in, the wires down here are grounded out. This is just for the fan, this just goes along there, and I haven't done this side yet. So as I said, it's just really boring and tedious. So once I've got all the wiring done, I think then I will carry on filming, and I'll get to show you more then. So these two parts have still got to go on the car, and from doing a little bit of research, I believe that this one is in the driver's side wing, under the wing, and I think this is in the passenger side wing, and I believe this is like the alarm box. I think this is like an evaporating system or something like that. I'm not entirely sure, so do tell me if you know what it is. So I'm going to whip the wings off the car and try and find where these go. Good morning. It is another day, another very cold day working on the Corsa. I want to start off this video by explaining what I got done yesterday. Now I found myself not recording very much. I think it was for multiple reasons. Number one, it was freezing cold and I just couldn't be bothered. I just was not in the mood. Number two, I just wanted to get some stuff done. If you've ever recorded a YouTube video, you'll know that just recording things takes so much longer than actually doing it. And the stuff that I was doing yesterday was mainly wiring. So tedious, so boring, you don't want to watch that, I don't want to record it. So what I'll do is I'll quickly show you what I got done yesterday, and I'll show you what I've got left to do today. Okay, so here we are. You would have seen me put the fuse box in, the wiring. The wiring was the main job for yesterday. So fuse box went in, the BCM module and stuff all went in there. I wired all along under the windscreen, wired up all these bits and pieces. I also went ahead and put the ABS pump back in. I put the ECU on, wired that up. I mounted the coolant bottle. I put the wiring along the front, sort of where it's going to go. And I also went in each wing, because this one there's like an evaporating system on the end of this pipe in there. There's like an evap system box thing that I had to replace. And then in this wing there was like an alarm system that I had to fit. You can actually still see it right there. I fit that as well. But I think that's pretty much all I got done yesterday. So I did also fit the pollen filter housing back on. So you might be asking yourself, what is there actually left to do on the Corsa? Well, there's a few things I want to get done today. We've got the radiator down here, as you can see. I want to get that plumbed in. I want to get the air intake in. I want to get the wiper motor back in. And I also want to button up the rest of the wiring. There's a few bits that I didn't manage to get done yesterday, so I want to tackle that today. And then it's going to be a case of putting the fluids in, so engine oil, gearbox oil and coolant. Sling a battery on it, and then we can see if it's going to start. So as you know, the car that this conversion came off was a 1.8, and they run aircon. So on the front of here we've got the AC condenser, and then the radiator was on the back. So because I'm not running AC, I'm going to take this off and just fit the radiator. Okay, so update time. Radiator is in. It's not just bolted in, but it's also plumbed up. Radiator hose this side, little return line this side, and then the radiator hose that goes from the block. I also did the heater matrix lines, these two that go into the car, they're all plumbed up. I've done majority of the electrics. I've done the ABS wire on the driver's side. I've also done the ABS wire on the passenger side. The heater fan is plugged in. Don't know if you can see it down there. That's plugged in there. I've got my grounds bolted up there. I'm not sure what this one's for. I think it might be for the horn, but the connector on my horn is different. This wiring you see hanging down on the radiator is for the aircon, so I'm just going to strap that up there because I obviously don't need that. The windscreen wiper motor is back in, and I'm now about to fit this air intake. When I got this, it came with this weird aftermarket intake. This will be going at some point, but for now it will do. I just want to get a standard box, but for now, just for starting it up, this should be absolutely fine. So that's a little bit off topic, but I just wanted to show you. If you follow me on Instagram, you would have seen the other day that I picked up this little 3/8 DeWalt impact gun. I had a few people point out that I was using chrome sockets on it, and that wasn't sort of a long-term solution. I was just using that because I didn't have anything else. But in the post, Mr. Postman has just been, I picked up these shallow 3/8 impact sockets from US Pro, which are Bergen. It's the same company. They're just, I don't know if they're rebranding from this to Bergen or the other way around. But they come in a nice little case. I'm only showing you this because I know some guys ask what tools I'm using. So here you go. You've got a little foam piece. Then you got from 7mm up to 19. These are shallow. So let's just stick one on the gun. Now this gun does need a new retaining ring because this one's really worn out. You probably can't see it, but sockets don't stay on it too well. As you can see, look, just pull off quite easily. But there we go, impact sockets on an impact, so no one can moan now. But these should be nice. I don't like using chrome sockets because in the drive end they do start to sort of mush up and go a little bit horrible. They start to deform sort of the drive end of it. So impact sockets will be better, and these are only cheap. I think these were like £11 or something on eBay. So if you're looking for some 3/8s, I haven't tried them yet, but they look quite good. US Pro impact sockets. Anyway, back to the Corsa. I think, right, and I can't believe I'm actually saying this already, I think that we are ready to add fluids and then start the car. I think. I've kind of been going over it all in my head, looking at everything. Everything's plugged in, everything's plumbed up, all the moving parts are in there. The only thing that it's lacking is fluid, as in gearbox fluid, engine oil and coolant, but I'm not going to put coolant in it yet. I'm going to put water in it for now, and then flush it and then put coolant in it once I know everything's good. And then also need a battery. I've got a battery from the MG that's in the garden, which is just sitting here. I've put it on charge, it's charged up, it's ready to go. So I think we're about to add the fluids and then give this car its first ever start. Now bear in mind, the exhaust is not on it yet. I have to order an exhaust because the exhaust that the guy gave me has had a new flexi welded in it. But if you look at the exhaust sort of straight down, so this is where it bolts to the cat, it's someone's welded it on. They've welded this part on wrong, so that it now goes and sort of bends down. It should be straight, but it's sort of curving off this way, so that won't even fit on the car. So I'm gonna have to order another one of these. So when I start it up, it might be loud, but I'll only start up for a few seconds, then I'll turn it off. So let's get adding some fluids. So I was just about to go ahead and fill the oil up. I thought to myself, I'll just check the dipstick, make sure there's no oil in it. And usually when people pull these conversions out of cars, they drain the oil before they pull it out. But on this dipstick, there's oil on it. So I'm going to have to drain the oil and then fill it. so the car's got oil in the gearbox, it's got oil in the engine, it's also got water in the coolant bottle, and I'm now about to put the battery on it, and then I think I'm about to start the Corsa 1.8. I don't know if I'm entirely ready for this. I feel like this is too soon. Wish me luck, boys. You boys ready for this? The key is in the ignition. That's how many miles we're on. I was lied to. I swear to God the guy said that it was on 86,000, but hey ho. This is the moment we've all been waiting for up till this point. I'm very excited, but I would be lying if I said that I wasn't very anxious as well. Let's do it. I don't think you guys understand how happy I am right now. For a car to start first time, after you have taken the old engine out, put a new one in that should never have been in there in the first place, and for the first turn of the key for it to start, is insane. Only you guys out there that have ever done anything similar will understand the appreciation you get for doing this sort of work. There's been a lot of blood, sweat and tears going into this project. We're nowhere near done yet. We've got so much to do, but just to hear that 1.8 turn over, very loud because it hasn't got an exhaust on at the moment, but just to hear it turn over is amazing. I think that's where I'm going to end this one because I'm just on a high right now. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. In the next one we're going to be tidying up bits. I've got loads of stuff to put back together still. I've got to put all the front bumper and stuff back on, all the trim pieces, button a few things up, and buy an exhaust because the exhaust that was supplied was no good. So I'm going to get a new one. So we've got to put a new exhaust on it so we keep it quiet, and then we can start it and run it for longer, because I literally just started it for sort of 10 seconds, turned it off because it's just obnoxiously loud and I don't want to upset my neighbours. But that is insane. I'm so happy right now. I've already posted a video on Instagram, so if you haven't followed me on Instagram, go and check that out. I'm stoked. I know it's just a 1.8 Corsa, but I'm so stoked. You don't even understand. So thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next one.